An album I've slept on for way too long. An all analog pressing for $30? Oh, was this fun? Let's go. Thanks for joining, I appreciate it. If this is your first time to the channel, thanks. My name is Mark and you've come to the Modest Audiophile channel. What does that mean? That means, listen, modest. There's a lot of professional audiophiles out there. I'm not one of them. I'm trying to do the best I can with the resources that I have at my disposal. And at the end of the day, the most important thing is to get the fullest enjoyment out of the music that is available today. That's it. So, why are we here today? We're here to go over this, Neil Young's fourth album, Harvest. And I must say, I don't know why it's taking me this long to go out and get this thing. I've heard most of the songs on this album over the years, either be from two main sources really, both of which I got in college, long time ago. One was the Crosby, Stills, Nash box set that featured a lot of Neil Young songs on there. Some of these I heard on there. Another one that I got in college from a friend of mine and my roommate who's been mentioned here a few times. He's gotten me those albums from France. Well, when we were in college, there was a used music store down the street, and he went in there and picked up Neil Young's Decade on CD. Man, what a great album. I wore that. If you could wear a CD out, I wore it out. I love that album to this day. I still may want to try to see if I can't get it on vinyl. Anyway, so we're here to talk about Neil Young's Harvest, and let's go over with the packaging first. This is another one that the Neil Young Archives has put out, and the quality is second to none. It is also printed on, I believe, Stoughton Printing, if I'm not mistaken. The inside of that, can you see it all? Yeah. Great gloss interior to this thing. And then on the back is the copy of Neil and the Stray Gators. We'll get to more of that in a second. Like I said earlier, this is part of the Neil Young Archives officially released series. This is number 4 that came out. I've got a couple other things that I've gotten from Neil Young's, or NYA, this thing right here. And every single one of his releases are, from a packaging perspective, top-notch. Really, really good. This thing competes with the Analog Productions packaging that I have with some of the other albums. All right, so on the inside of this, came on this, almost feels like that old parchment, right, that you probably got on a field trip when you were in grammar school and learned about colonial America. Yeah, same type of thing. Very, very nice parchment. And it's got all the lyrics on the inside. Very nice, very nice. All right, so let's put this back in and get on with talking about the album. All right, where do we start from here? The last review I did, right, was that David Crosby debut solo album, If I Could Only Remember My Name. It got me thinking. And I was out this weekend looking for houses, and my wife and I and one of my daughters stopped by a record store up in Concord, New Hampshire. Great record store. I can't think of the name right now. So I went in there, and this was there, and I picked it up. And I remember hearing from Mike over at the In Groove that this was one of his best all analog albums that is still in print lists, something to that effect. So I said, all right, well, let me see what this is all about, right? Is it really that good? Because every other thing that I've gotten from Neil on vinyl anyway, and recently anyways, been sounding exquisite. So why not this one too? All right, so this album was recorded between January and September 1971. Right? This is when Stills was working on his solo album, and we already talked about David working on his solo album. Graham Nash was working on his solo album. They all kind of worked on each other's as well. And we'll get to that as far as who the band members are in a second. But yeah, recorded January to September 1971, and it was released on February 14th, 1972 on Reprise Records. Hey, Valentine's Day. It featured the London Symphony Orchestra on 2 tracks and vocals by David Crosby, Graham Nash, Linda Ronstadt, Stephen Stills, and James Taylor. It topped the Billboard 200 chart for 2 weeks and spawned 2 hit singles, Old Man, which peaked at number 31 on the Billboard Hot 100, and Heart of Gold, which reached number 1. It was the best-selling album of 1972 in the US. Wow. Did not know that. Who are the Stray Gators, first of all? Well, let me read this here, and I'll put the picture up right next to it so you can read along. Who the Stray Gators are? Ben Keith, pedal steel guitar and dobro. Kenny Buttry, drums. Tim Drummond, bass. Jack Nitschke, piano and lap steel guitar. He also has some other credits that we'll talk about here soon. John Harris, piano on Harvest. Teddy Irwin, guitar on Heart of Gold. James McMahon, piano on Old Man, and James Taylor, banjo guitar on Old Man. All right. There's a quote that I want to read here, and I thought it was important enough to read at the beginning of this I guess review, right? Review. No, it's how does this thing sound really? All right. Now, the quote that I want to read was Neil kind of explaining his physical limitations at the time because he had some real bad back problems. Again, as a very young man, I don't even think he was 30 yet. And the quote goes, quote, "I was in and out of hospitals for the 2 years between after the gold rush and harvest. I have one weak side and all the muscles slipped on me. My disc slipped. I couldn't hold my guitar up. That's why I sat down on my whole solo tour. I couldn't move around too well, so I laid low for a long time on the ranch and just didn't have any contact, you know? I wore a brace. Crosby would come up to see how I was. We'd go for a walk, and it took me 45 minutes to get to the studio, which is only 400 yards from the house. I could only stand up for 4 hours a day. I recorded most of Harvest in the brace. That's a lot of the reason it's such a mellow album. I couldn't physically play an electric guitar. Are You Ready for the Country, Alabama, and Words were all done after I had the operation. The doctors were starting to talk about wheelchairs and shit, so I had some discs removed. But for the most part, I spent 2 years flat on my back." And he cuts this. Holy crap. All right, let's get on to this stuff. A couple things, how we set it up. For those who don't know, my analog stage, look in the description below, but really quick, it is coming off of Audio-Technica LP 120 turntable, which is going into a Pro-Ject 2-box S2 with some upgraded Genalex Gold Lion tubes, going out the Rotel A11 Tribute amp. Whew. Took a while to think about that word. Yeah, went out the Rotel A11 Tribute amp and out these Wharfdale 85th anniversary generation speakers edition, something like that. All right. And I'm sitting, speakers are 10 feet apart. I'm sitting 10 feet away. I put the volume up on the receiver at 75, okay? And I did a dB test on the second song, which was Out on the Weekend, and it'll be right here. It was, the low end dB was 66, high was 95, and the average was 82. So this album has some punch, which was great, and we'll get through some of those. I'll bring them up on some of the songs and what I heard and what I liked. Zero surface noise. Of course, brand new album. I brought it home. I cleaned it first, and I honestly say there wasn't really any. I didn't notice any surface noise. This thing was really, really quiet. Piece of vinyl. Nice piece of vinyl. Soundstage, yeah, it was great. It was 6 feet plus either side of the outside the speakers, left and right, and the center image was getting up there around 5 feet as well. It was starting to reach up to the ceiling. Nice, big, wide, immersive soundstage. The depth was, so we'll talk about depth and imaging a little bit. Imaging was really, really good, really tight. All instruments were locked into their place. Yes, very holographic. And the depth, you were getting it, I'd say about to the back of the wall, which is 3 feet behind the speakers, all the way up to maybe about a half a foot in front of the speakers. So you had some nice depth there as well. This wasn't Analog Productions, David Crosby, if I could only remember my name, depth, but it was really good depth. One more thing I'll say about the imaging is, regardless of how much instrumentation was going on in any one song, be it a very sparse record like The Needle and the Damage Done, or something that has the full orchestration here, you could very, very easily close your eyes and focus on one specific instrument. If you wanted to listen to the walking bass lines, easy, you could do it. If you wanted to listen to the bells in the orchestra, you could. It was very easy. So imaging was really, really good on this. So how does it sound? Well, on side 1, it starts with a song called Out on the Weekend. This is the band with the Stray Gators. So right away on Out on the Weekend, you're getting that boom, boom, snap. Boom, boom, snap. That snap is the snare, and it's coming right out of the left side of the soundstage, and it is got punch. It's tangible. It's great. Full bass is what I put here. Quiet vinyl. Harmonica was coming out of the center right. Really good imaging right away from the get-go. So that was Out on the Weekend. Again, I'm not going to go over detail every one of these songs. You know the songs, you know the album, otherwise you wouldn't have clicked on this. Harvest, song number 2. What I put down here was in full round bass. This is going to be something that's going to come up through most of this album. The bass was, man, the bass was great. Another album that tells me, yeah, I don't need a subwoofer with these speakers. That the bass was really, really good, and it was a low sound stage. Some of these songs I was getting the bass kind of bubbling up from the floor. It was so good. All right, so back to Harvest. Nice reverb on the vocals. Something that, again, we've heard these songs a cajillion times. Hear it out on a barbecue, out on the deck, coming out of a boombox, or in your car. Well, sitting down and actually listening to this with listening to this now with a little bit more open ear. I don't know how I want to phrase that, but yeah, sitting in your listening room and doing nothing but focusing on this record, you start to pick up on things you haven't heard before. And in this case, nice reverb on the vocals. Didn't really pick up on that before. I thought that was pretty good. This song, Harvest, was like just a big warm hug. And again, we've all heard the song a million times. But hearing it like this, in this room, with no distractions, great stuff. All right, we move off to the third song on the album, which is A Man Needs a Maid. First time I heard this song was on that Neil Young Decade CD that I got in college. Like, what the hell is this? It became one of the best songs for my group of friends and I. In fact, we go off every June for a boys' weekend out in a cabin. Been doing it for 35 years, and this song always gets, a lot of Neil gets played, but A Man Needs a Maid, let me just say, A Man Needs a Maid, it has the London Symphony Orchestra as part of it. It was arranged by Jack Nitschke, conducted by David Meacham, and man, I'm going to have to probably listen to more orchestra music because of what it does in the soundstage and imaging. It was fun. This was real fun. Neil's vocals were center right and the piano was center left. And then this incredible, powerful, full orchestra comes in and just rounds out the soundstage. But yet it never overwhelms Neil's vocals or the piano he's playing. like I stated earlier, very easy to close your eyes and pick out the different instruments within the soundstage because the imaging is so good. If you haven't listened to this before, do it. It's awesome. Really, really good. Really kind of rambling here, but yeah, the orchestration really makes this and a couple other songs in this album. Fantastic listen. Best listen I've ever had for this particular song. Really good. All right, now on to song 4, Heart of Gold.
Keep me searching for a heart of gold. I've been a miner for a heart.
Yeah, we've heard it and heard it and heard it and heard it again. Heart of Gold is being played with the Stray Gators as well as additional vocals by James Taylor and Linda Ronstadt. And what I put here was you get the whole sound spectrum. You get it all. It's warm and it's full, but it's crisp. It's not muddy. It's awesome is what I put. Really nothing more needs to be said about Heart of Gold. Best time I've ever had listening to this song. Great stuff. All right, and then the last song on side 1 is Are You Ready for the Country? Are You Ready for the Country was with the Stray Gators as well as David Crosby and Graham Nash on vocals. And what I put here is nice honky-tonk piano is coming in on the center right, and then this creamy, smooth slide guitar is sitting over there on the left through most of the song. And it was a great, just a great sound stage. Great rhythm section is what I put here. I was doing a lot of listen to the drum and the bass player. That's what I was focusing on. A lot of fun on this one. You'll love it. Hey everybody, thanks for coming. If this is your first time coming to the Modest Audiophile channel, thank you so much. If you like this content, please hit like, feel free. If you really like this content, yeah, hit subscribe. You can always take it away later and it's free. That's all I got. Now let's get back to Neil Young's Harvest. All right, kick on side number 2, we flip it. And the first song is Old Man. And Old Man with the Stray Gators. James Taylor is in here again. He is playing the banjo guitar. And Linda Ronstadt is on here again as well, singing. What I put here was a revelation. I mean, Old Man, we all know the song, right? Any acoustic guitar player is going to pick it up. It's one of the first songs you probably learned how to play. This opens up with Neil's acoustic guitar on the right, clear as day. I mean, sounds epic. And his vocals come in the center next, and then the piano comes in on the left. And this is a song that just builds and builds and builds, and I enjoyed it as much on the 4th time I listened to it in 2 days as I did the first time. So again, Neil's guitar is on the right. His vocals come in through the center. Little piano's coming in on the left. And then you hit that snare, it's coming in on the left too, and that snare's got some pop and some punch. James Taylor's banjo fills in on the left as well. Then the chorus comes and fills out the rest of the sound stage. It's great. This is such a great way to listen to this song as opposed to, again, out on the deck or in the car. What I put here is when you get into the second verses after the original chorus, behind Neil's voice, you're getting the steel guitar. Oh, is it sounding so good. A little bit of reverb on that steel guitar, again, slotting in right behind Neil in the sound stage. It shows off the depth once again. Really tasty, really tasty. All right, after Old Man, there's a song called There's a World. There's a World is another one by the London Symphony Orchestra, and it was arranged by Jack Nitschke and conducted by David Meacham. What I want to say about this was there was 2 songs on this album that I wasn't very familiar with, right? I don't believe they were on the Decade album, and I don't believe they were on the Crosby, Stills, and Nash box set. This was one of them. There's a World starts out with these timpani drums. It's another one with the London Symphony Orchestra. Starts off with these timpani drums, I believe. And it sounds like it's like a 1950s, 1960s Hollywood epic movie, right? It just, the opening credits and the music that would come with that, like something like Ben-Hur or the Ten Commandments or, I don't know, something like that. that's the feeling that I got listening to the beginning of this song. I wrote it here. 50s and 60s Hollywood movie intro. Timpani drums, full orchestration, plus the piano. And the bells that would pop off different places within the soundstage was really cool. It was really, again, showcasing the imaging and how laser focused that imaging was. And it showed great depth. That was a lot of fun, and the last thing I put off here is I go, the Moody Blues got nothing on this song. And I meant that. Moody Blues, this would fit right into a Moody Blues album, but with Neil. And oh, it was great. Great song. It was almost like this one and another one is almost like hearing a new song from Neil all over again. Not even all over again. It was like hearing a new song from Neil, period. And that was a nice treat. All right, after There's a World, we go to Alabama. And the first thing I put on here was Yeah. See? Yeah. And Tasty. Starts off with that Neil Young guitar right on the right? We talked about it earlier. Looks like he had his operation before he recorded Alabama, so he was able to stand up with that electric, and thank goodness he was, because the way it started, you know it, it's great. I just put, besides that, great deep bass, tall soundstage on this one. For whatever reason, I really noticed the soundstage for Alabama being quite tall. All right, Needle in the Damage done. One word, I'll show you again. Perfect. Perfect. Nothing more needs to be said about that. It was perfect. Needle in the Damage done. Perfect. And then the last album on the song, another one that I was not quite familiar with, called Words, Between the Lines of Age. What a title. What a title, Neil. Words, Between the Lines of Age. The band was the Stray Gators, and Graham Nash and Stephen Stills were doing backup vocals for this one. All right. What I put here is sounds of what was to come. You got a little bit more of that edgy Neil guitar style, right? Stuff that you would find more prevalent on Crazy Horse and some of Neil's other projects that would come out many years later. You had that in-the-room feeling. Definitely had that in-the-room feeling with this last song. Nice scratchy guitar on the right, and which would become a piercing guitar on the right as the song would go through. Separation was excellent is what I put, and nice air around the cymbals center right. The song it would breathe, so yeah, being in the room, kind of a sense, and you did get that air and space, which was really special. So that was Neil Young's Harvest. Fan-flipping-tastic. Really, really enjoyed this one. So that's it, everybody. That's Neil Young's Harvest. And boy, what took me so long to get this thing? Yeah, it is. It's that good. Believe the hype. This thing seriously is a great listen, great soundstage, great imaging, no complaints whatsoever. Packaging is fantastic. Got that linen feel, just like supposedly it came out, all those years ago. So that's it, everybody. Thanks for coming to the channel today. I really appreciate it. This was a fast one. You already know the album, so that's why you clicked on it. I don't need to educate you any more than that, but I am saying that, yeah, Neil and the archives are really putting out some high quality product, from the packaging to the piece of vinyl itself. Very quiet, and such a great soundstage and imaging. All analog by Bernie Grundman. Can't go wrong, right? So find some time for yourself, be it in the morning, afternoon, night, whenever it's convenient. Go and grab your favorite beverage, put this thing on the turntable, get ready to do a little toe tapping, and really enjoy that London Symphony Orchestra on some of these things. You're gonna love it. And that's it. Hope to see you soon. Sorry it took me so long on this one. Been trying to move, a lot of stress, and I got a couple more queued up here because I did a lot of stress reduction listening to different records. That's it, everybody. Take care. Thanks. We'll get together soon. Bye.